You are now listening to Serious Minds RNTV with your host, Professor Griff. The call-in number is 516-654-7688. That's 516-654-7688. This is Professor Griff, and this is Serious Minds RNTV. Serious Minds for Serious Minds. Seriously.
Peace, family. Are you tired of being denied life necessities such as cars, housing, and credit cards due to lack of credit history? Then if so, give Brother New a call today. Brother New will help you legally boost your credit score by adding seasoned trade lines. Brother New also does credit consultations. Make the change today. Call 504-276-2033 or visit TradelinesWithGamba.com.
The Serious Minds Brain Tonic was created to sharpen the mind by protecting cells and increasing neurotransmitters associated with learning and memory. This is the Serious Minds Brain Tonic. The Resurrection Formula. This male reproductive tonic elixir is the resurrection you've been looking for. It is a stimulating sexual tonic with mild androgen-like effects that is nourishing to the reproductive system. You can order them at www.professorgriff.me and www.seriousmindsinstitute.com. Just call 678-557-2919. Your health is your wealth. Peace.
Greetings, family. Greetings. Once again, y'all already noticed, Professor Griff, and this is Serious Minds RNTV. Serious Minds RNTV. And what else could we possibly talk about on May 19th if we're not talking about our good brother, Malcolm X? Today is Malcolm X's born day. All right, some of you that are deeply rooted into Islam and have been following who the man and demystified the myth about Malcolm X. Some of y'all may know him as El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. All right. Today, our good brother Malcolm X would have been how old? Let me see. Malcolm was born the birthday on May 19, 1925. I'm not sure how old. And he got assassinated at the Audubon Ballroom in 1965. 65 subtract 25 is what? Some of your mathematicians hit me with that. Wave. All right. This is Professor Griff. This is Serious Minds RNTV, and we're going to be talking about our good brother, Mr. Malcolm X. All right. El Hajj Malik El Shabazz. All right. I got a few questions I want to kind of throw out there. All right. I know I'm going to get some trolls today, so I'm prepared for that. I'm kind of like on deck. Shout out to Quan, who's enjoying herself. Get and relax, Quan. Make it happen. Do you. All right. I want to give a shout out to Johnny Taylor, the great filibuster. Double B, what's happening with you, man? All right. Oh, everybody's saying 96 years old? Oh, okay. All right. It's a beautiful thing. All right. You said he would have been 96. All right. All right, family. So we're going to be having that discussion today. And of course, you'll see I came dressed for the occasion. I went, got my Malcolm on. Now, mind you, this is the Malcolm that he spent 1 year outside of the Nation of Islam. Spent 12 years inside the nation, 1 year out. And this is the Malcolm that y'all may have known. All right. Malcolm who grew the beard and the mustache and the making a few trips overseas and that kind of thing. But we're not going to get into it too deep. I think we do need to have a deeper discussion about the life of Malcolm. But we're just going to touch on some things. All right. And let's kind of hear from our good brother, Malcolm. All right. So come on to the conversation, family. Mind you, I'm facilitating a conversation. Let's just kind of dialogue. I'm not sure how many people are going to be on here that's about my age. So we could kind of talk about some things that kind of transpired, what happened, how Malcolm affected our lives. What is it about that we held on to that Malcolm taught? So when we're talking about, as we are taught, you never speak of those ancestors like that as though they're dead. All right, Malcolm still lives among us. Malcolm still lives in us. All right. A little bit later on, earlier today, I got the news that Paul Mooney had passed away. And so we'll talk about that probably a little bit later on tomorrow. N57, how old are you? What is N57? That's Body Rock D8. I don't know what that means. N57. What does that mean? All right, so let's dive into this conversation. All right. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, you meant to say I'm 57. How old are you? I am 60. All right. Yes, I am a whole 60. As a matter of fact, in a few months, I will be 61. All right. So, Quan, you live from Costa Rica? Come on, Quan. You supposed to be riding horses. You supposed to be like surfing, scuba diving, something. All right, everybody send a peace sign to Quan, taking her time out of her lovely vacation, having time enough to be on here to have this discussion about Malcolm X. All right. We're going to share the screen and we're going to dive into this conversation about our good brother, Malcolm X. All right, let's do this. Here we go.
In order for you and me to devise some kind of method or strategy to offset some of the events or a repetition of the events that have taken place here in Los Angeles recently, we have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough. And it is because of our effort toward getting straight to the root that people oftentimes think we're dealing in hate. We are oppressed. We are exploited. We are downtrodden. We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights. So the only way we're going to get some of this oppression and exploitation away from us or aside from us is come together against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
That's right. Come
to
on.
such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose?
Right.
And the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet? Who taught you to hate your own kind? Who taught you to hate the race that you belong to? So much so that you don't want to be around each other. No, before you come asking Mr. Muhammad, does he teach hate? You should ask yourself, who taught you to hate being what God gave you?
That's right.
And I, for one, as a Muslim, believe that the white man is intelligent enough. If he were made to realize how black people really feel and how fed up we are without that old compromise and sweet talk. Stop sweet talking it. Tell him how you feel. Tell him what kind of hell you've been catching, and let him know that if he's not ready to clean his house up, if he's not ready to clean his house up, he shouldn't have a house. It should catch on fire and burn down.
So if we've never heard Malcolm talk, this is the Malcolm that most of us have experienced or have gotten to know. Let me put not experience, but experience, yes, and have gotten to know, because these are the things that they kind of put in front of us. This is the Malcolm that they wanted us to kind of know. So then when you look up Malcolm's name on Google or in a search engine, it says the civil rights leader. Yeah, no, Malcolm was teaching the doctrine of the Nation of Islam, which is taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He spent 12 years in the nation and 1 year out of the nation, and then he was assassinated. If you know the history of Malcolm, coming from what Malcolm came from as far as his what his mom and his dad was. Yeah. So, but Malcolm having a trouble growing up, pimping, hustling, selling drugs, stealing, in and out of jail, this kind of thing. This was Malcolm's life coming up, and we've seen it portrayed in certain movies. All right. One notable movie, the movie that Malcolm X from Spike Lee, excuse me. Malcolm X, hold on. These portrayals of Malcolm were only glimpses of what Malcolm gave us. All right. Only glimpses of what Malcolm gave us. Malcolm X, 1992 film. I hate reading from Wikipedia. Once Spike Lee took over as director, he rewrote the Baldwin Perry script due to revisions. The Baldwin family asked the producer to take his name off the credits. Thus, Malcolm X only credits Perry and Lee as the writers of Malcolm X. Yeah. So, sitting down with Alex Haley to put together the autobiography of Malcolm X. How many have actually read that book? In the different programs I was in growing up and coming up in some revolutionary circles and some study groups, it was mandatory reading. You had to read the autobiography of Malcolm X. How many people have read the autobiography of Malcolm X? Ernest Grant said, Ernie, Shane thought all this time that you was my brother, bro. Shane Shakur thought you was like my physical brother. That's a beautiful thing. So in reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, it gives us a glimpse as to who Malcolm, it gives us his history, and it gives us a glimpse of who Malcolm X really is. Let me see if I can get someone to come on. Hold on for a second. Can you come on and speak about Malcolm X and the artifacts that you have? Get me back. All right. The idea of Malcolm X coming from Detroit Red, coming from Malcolm Little into being Malcolm X is a fascinating story that Spike Lee dives into, and other people that have studied the life of Malcolm have delved into it also. I think 3 movies that have been out recently. Can y'all name those movies which featured a Malcolm X character? Can y'all mention what those movies are? Yeah, the Boston years was kind of odd. Yep. Malcolm being in Boston. Wow. Paul Mooney made his transition on Malcolm X's birthday. Yep. Oh, wow. Griff, I have a family member that was his bodyguard who lives in Florida now. Okay, Ernsta. The Godfather of Harlem. Thank you. The Godfather of Harlem. And then the other movie was Who Killed Malcolm X? Wow. Mr. Muhammad, you own it. The Godfather of Harlem and Who Killed Malcolm X. And come on, talk to me. There's one more movie. Thank you. Thank you. One Night in Miami. Thank y'all very much. Thank y'all very, very much. All right. So then some of these movies go into the relationships that Malcolm had. The relationship that Malcolm had with cats up in Harlem that was still into that life, putting that work in on the street. Malcolm X had a relationship with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Malcolm X had a relationship with Muhammad Ali. All right. So some of these movies that are coming out, understanding it and trying to view it from a younger person's perspective and understanding who Malcolm X was. Malcolm X did have a relationship with Red Fox, Bumpy Johnson, and other people. All right. Quan wants us to know all the way from the beautiful lush green environment of Costa Rica. Make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe, share, fam, and don't forget to hit the bell so you can get notifications. Thank you, Quan. You hard at work. Didn't we talk earlier, Quan? And I suggested that you relax, take some time off, breathe, scuba dive or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go to Costa Rica too, seriously. Malcolm also met with Fidel Castro. What year was that? And Dick Gregory. Okay, Malcolm X had a okay, Arthur Kitt was one of the other ones that Malcolm X associated and was friends with. A lot of people was afraid of Malcolm. All right. Are you chilling by the pool? See, are you gonna rub it in now? All right, Quan. She said, I'm chilling by the pool. Give thanks. So what we're trying to do is just give younger people an under a kind of non-tainted view and introduction to who Malcolm X truly is. Now, it'll be a beautiful thing that if we did, Peace Queen, what's up? You good? Yeah, we got Quan over here on YouTube sitting by the poolside in Costa Rica somewhere, rubbing it in, saying how nice it is there. It's like, all right. All right. So the idea now of introducing Malcolm X to a generation that are only getting who Malcolm X is through the lens of Malcolm's enemies. All right. I need y'all to understand that. We're not going to take cues from our open enemy, the same people that murdered Malcolm. We're not going to take the same cues from these individuals to understand Malcolm. That's just contradictory in nature. We're not going to do that. And if you don't have a Malcolm X shirt, I suggest you get a Malcolm X shirt. All right? No, you can't have this one. It's just kind of like, yeah. All right. So understand, family. Some people ask, why did Malcolm change his name? I think even as much as he wanted to kind of, quote unquote, disassociate himself from the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, even when he changed his name, he still held on to Shabazz. Now, rock with me for a minute, family. Some of y'all women out there were married to men. And when you got a divorce, you gave that man his name back. Am I right or wrong? Right? So if you didn't kind of like feel something, you would have held on to the name. So even when Malcolm made his transition into whatever Malcolm was into and whatever all the other organizations and mindset that Malcolm X had kind of developed, Malcolm X still held on to the name Shabazz. Where did he get the name Shabazz from? He wasn't known as Malcolm X Shabazz. He was known as Malcolm X. But then when he changed his name from Malcolm X and he changed his name to El Hajj El Malik El Shabazz, where did the name Shabazz come from? And little goddess, you're absolutely correct. Malcolm X was doing a global work. And I think the United States government feared Malcolm in that sense, that Malcolm was making an international and global connection and getting our international family to understand the plight here in the wilderness of North America. All right. Miss Soleil, if you're within the sound of my voice, can you do me a favor and bring me Message to the Black Man in America? I know you brought me this. The last year of Malcolm X, the evolution of a revolutionary. All right. There's many books out about Malcolm now. But I think we need to talk about what is the spirit and the energy and what are those teachings that gave birth to a Malcolm X. Malcolm X didn't give birth to himself. Malcolm X, like a lot of us, was a thief, a petty thief, a criminal, a womanizer, sold drugs and did all kind of things. Right? So something had to turn Malcolm's life around. And don't tell me that just because he was in jail and he read the dictionary that Malcolm went from Malcolm Detroit Red to Malcolm X. Did you know he was Detroit Red?
Yeah.
What's going on, Red? Didn't they used to call y'all Red in Kansas City?
No, that was.
They ain't never called light-skinned women Red?
That was a South thing.
Yeah, that was a Southern thing.
I heard that when I moved to Atlanta.
They started calling you Red?
Yeah.
They like, say Red. Yeah, that's not, yeah.
I moved here.
Okay. Very proud of you.
Yeah.
All right.
Shugs is here.
For real?
Yeah, they want to put a swim pool out.
Oh, okay. We'll come take a swim.
Yeah.
I'm going to come take a dip in the pool, which is really off the wall. All right. But message to the Black man in America. Soleil was just saying today that we need to kind of renew our history, start back over. And this is one of the books that she suggested. Message to the Black man in America. Message to the Black man in America. So where do you think Malcolm X got knowledge from? All right. So we need to, I know, Quan, definitely Louisiana thing, red bone, yellow bone. Yeah. Yeah. Monique Hill, you're absolutely correct. We still listening to Malcolm. Because nowadays that frequency, that vibration, that revolutionary spirit, we just don't see it on the scene today. There's not too many of us. All right? That speak up and speak out and speak truth to power. A lot of us are moving in fear. And that no, family, that is really real. A lot of us just don't have that spirit anymore. All right. Let me see. This is Denzel Washington as Malcolm X. All right.
These are the questions. These are the questions you and I have to ask. How did we get this mind? You're not an American. You're an African who happens to be in America. You have to understand the difference. We didn't come over on the Nita, the Pinta, and the whatchamacallit. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Landed right on top of us. Shorty? Is that you, brother? Praise be to Allah. Now, this is exactly what I'm talking about, the slave mentality, the slave mind. This brother and I, we had the slave mind. We used to rob together. We used to sleep with white women. We even went to prison together. Now, don't be surprised when I say we went to prison, because some of y'all still in prison right now. Prison's of your mind.
That's right.
Up, brother. Come on. The brother's a little shy. Come on, brother, give me a hug. Yeah. That's all right, brother. That's all right. Look, he still got his hair fried. That's all right, though. That's the slave mind. That's the slave mind.
Denzel Washington played Malcolm X to the hilt, man, for real. Yeah. Yeah. It was, hold on one second. It was the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that gave birth to a Malcolm X. We would not have even known anything about a Malcolm. But you see, Malcolm wasn't the only brother. Malcolm wasn't the only black man that Elijah Muhammad woke up and set this world on fire. Everyone that got the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and went out in the world to do the work, all right, got your attention. Come on now. Even with what Clarence 13X did with the 5% nation of gods and earths, got your attention. Because Clarence 13X produced poor righteous teachers, Queen Latifah, Lord Jamar, Brand Nubian, all right, King's Son, Lakim Shabazz. I mean, I could go on and on and on. The teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad just in music alone affected you. It produced Public Enemy. All right? Busta Rhymes. He was 5%. Right. We can name it produced Professor Griff. Thank you, Soleil. Really appreciate that. So just the mere teachings have produced ministers and people that have affected your life. Muhammad Ali affected you, even outside of the sports world. And Muhammad Ali is a product of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Come on now. Come on. So the Nation of Islam produced a program that those of y'all that call yourself RBG today, the Black Panther Party flipped the paper over and took the 10-point program of the Messenger and made it their program. Come on, talk to me. All right, Clarence 13X Smith and the 5% Nation of Gods and Earth produced Rakim, Eric B. and Rakim. All right, so a revolutionary mindset came out of the mind of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So we got to understand this particular dynamic and how this thing works. So all the way from two men, Elijah Muhammad, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Malcolm X, one with a 4th grade education and one with an 8th grade education, set this world on fire. Am I right or wrong? You moving too fast, bro. We ain't even get to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan yet. You moving too fast. We ain't even get to Khalid Muhammad yet. All right? We ain't even get there yet. We ain't even travel that far yet. But now that you mentioned them, the Nation of Islam produced Khalid Muhammad, would set this world on fire. Challenge all of us. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan still challenges all of us. All right? In a deeper spiritual sense. All right? But even way beyond them, producer Professor Griff, who on one of my last records, in one of my last videos, I presented to y'all as though y'all didn't know, but y'all already know, Nuri Muhammad and Dr. Wesley Muhammad. All right, the Nation of Islam produced Sister Ava Muhammad and Tanetta Muhammad. Come on now. So we cannot, even if you try to and you want to, you cannot escape the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. In 2021, you may not all have or be in Islam, but Islam is in you, and you can't escape that. Everywhere you turn, you meet men and women that was affected by the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, directly and indirectly. That Leo Muhammad, that's right, from across the water, that's right. Just ice. All right? So we have to understand the dynamic and how this thing works. Some of y'all may not understand to the degree of where you're sitting and the lens that you're looking through. You may not understand the Nation of Islam. All right, yes, it gave us a gangster, guru. All right, it produced people like Naeem Akbar. All right. And then a little bit later on, people was starting to get tidbits of knowledge. They start giving their children Muslim names or Muslim Islamic sounding names. All right. So a lot of times you'd have a name, but it probably wasn't in the 99 attributes of Allah. It probably wasn't in the book, but it just sounded like an Islamic name. Tashim, God Allah. You understand what I'm saying? And all these other names that we would come with. Even with people like, you would have a Muslim Islamic first name, but you would keep your slave master's name, which is backwards as hell. That's backwards as hell. Am I right or wrong? You're supposed to give up your slave master's name. And some of y'all still walking around with your slave master's name. All right? Less little goddess. We're going to talk about his debates at Oxford. All right? But what right now we're about to watch by any, every, and all means necessary, our good brother Malcolm. Let's dive into this. All right?
Our African brothers have gained their independence faster than you and I here in America have. They've also gained recognition and respect as human beings much faster than you and I. Just 10 years ago on the African continent, our people were colonized. They were suffering all forms of colonization, oppression, exploitation, degradation, humiliation, discrimination, and every other kind of Asian. And in a short time, they have gained more independence, more recognition, more respect as human beings.
Was a separate state for black people.
Than you and I have. And you and I live in a country which is supposed to be the citadel of education, freedom, justice, democracy, and all of those other pretty sounding words. We want freedom by any means necessary.
Was a separate state for black people.
Malcolm X.
Sir, what's the real reason why you two men split? Is it merely ideological, or is it personality? What else?
Probably personality. It was not the statement that originally was given by the movement when we split. It's more personality than anything else.
You've called.
It was on this cold day that he was laid to rest. Saturday, February 27th, 1965. A man who in the 39 years of his life changed the hearts and minds of countless people. His was a stormy life, as was his death. At birth, he was named Malcolm Little. He rose to worldwide attention with the name Malcolm X. He died with the name El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz.
Personal political philosophy is black nationalism, which means that the black man should control the politics of his own community and control the politicians who are in his own community. My personal economic philosophy is also black nationalism, which means that the black man should have a hand in controlling the
commanded so
economy
much
of the
attention
so-called
as Malcolm X, who was one of the most electrifying speakers this country has ever produced. Some of the things he said rocked his contemporaries and his adversaries.
for his own people.
He developed into what he became from a turbulent childhood. Born in Omaha, Nebraska, raised in Lansing, Michigan, the son of a Baptist preacher who followed Marcus Garvey and was brutally murdered in Malcolm's youth. Malcolm's school ambitions were crushed by a white teacher who told him to be realistic about being a nigger and forget about being a lawyer and learn to do something with his hands instead. And so he floundered. He went to Roxbury, Massachusetts to live with his sister Ella. He flirted with crime. He got a job on the railroad, washing dishes, loading supplies, and selling sandwiches. Working on Pullman trains enabled him to travel to the big cities, Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York. He became intoxicated with life in those big cities. Between rail trips, he bought himself zoot suits with the reed pleat and the stuffed cuff. He conked his hair. He settled in Harlem finally and began associating with a very fast crowd in that town. He started smoking reefers, selling drugs, selling women. He started using cocaine and he developed a habit. He drifted lower and lower and he was finally arrested on a robbery rap. In January of 1946, at 21 years of age, he was sentenced to 8 to 10 years in prison. Big Red, as he was known, started his life in the Charlestown State Prison. It was the same year that Jackie Robinson was becoming the first black man to play Major League Baseball, an event that Malcolm and his fellow inmates celebrated behind bars. Malcolm was cold and belligerent in prison. He was soon dubbed Satan. Few would mess with him. But through the visits and letters of one of his brothers, he began to change. He was exposed to the teachings of a little-known man in Detroit named Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm's brother told Malcolm that his predicament was a direct result of one source, the white man. The message was, avoid the white devil and become independent. Clean yourself up, pick yourself up. Don't smoke, don't drink, don't eat pork, don't fornicate, and especially be proud of yourself and your past. It prodded young Malcolm to do what he hadn't dreamt of doing for years, read. It was a painful process. He started with the dictionary, literally reading each page. Then grammar books. Then novels, textbooks, encyclopedias, history, philosophy, psychology, philology, geography, and on, into the night, every night, reading until the wee hours, past lights out. Reading in poor light damaged his eyes to the point that he had to wear glasses for the rest of his life. But he learned, and he grew. When he left prison in 1952, he was completely changed. He had a new perspective and a new attitude, as well as the desire to grow in the service of Elijah Muhammad. He dropped his last name, identifying it as a slave name. He replaced it with X, and he joined the Nation of Islam. Within the next 2 years, a lot happened. The United States Supreme Court handed down its historic Brown decision of 1954. It ruled that separate but equal schooling was inherently unequal and must end with all deliberate speed. And as that momentous verdict was being digested by America, Malcolm was back in the streets of Harlem, but now a minister of the Nation of Islam, assigned here by Elijah Muhammad to open up the nation's 7th temple. Malcolm fished for members at rallies that were being held by other organizations. It was a slow but very sure process. By now it was 1955, the year that the Civil Rights Movement ignited. It began in Montgomery, Alabama, with the Rosa Parks incident, and it spread throughout the nation. A young Baptist preacher at the forefront named the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Picket demonstrations were occurring everywhere in the Southland and attracting heavy media coverage. Meanwhile, the Nation of Islam continued to grow. Malcolm was now Elijah Muhammad's national organizer and spokesman. He organized bazaars to attract new members and raise money. He turned out the first edition of the nation's newspaper, Muhammad Speaks, the sale of which brought in more money to develop the growing numbers of temples that were springing up with Malcolm's assistance. Malcolm read voraciously. he haunted bookstores like Louis Michau's National Memorial African Bookstore, located on 7th Avenue between 125th and 126th Streets. It helped him polish his astounding skills as a public speaker. It was his chief device to recruit members. It also helped him to deal with the news media that had begun to take notice.
Abraham Lincoln tricked the so-called Negro into thinking that he was free. And when you read some of the books that were written by the so-called Negro historian J.E. Rogers, one of his books, God, the Africa's Gift to America, he points out plainly how Abraham Lincoln did nothing but trick the Negro, fool the Negro, and use the Negro, the same as every other politician who has been in the White House has been tricking and fooling and using the Negro as a political football ever since America has been America.
The picket demonstrations in the South continued to escalate, and so did the development of the Nation of Islam, developing particularly in Harlem, where large crowds were now turning out to hear this fiery young man who had an extraordinary way with words and ideas. He sometimes spoke for hours, extemporaneously, but the attention of a standing crowd never faltered.
Our desire, our prayer, that we can have a peaceful, intelligent rally here this afternoon. But at the same time, we see that they have surrounded us with many of their own agents in uniform and out of uniform who have spent much time here in Harlem posing as peace officers and at the same time breaking up the peace of black people. So we hope that they will be peaceful and we will be peaceful.
All right. All right. So Malcolm X, even at that time, had known that there was agents in and outside of the ranks of the Nation of Islam, agents surrounding them. And if you could see, if you're on YouTube, you can see right here, young Minister Louis Farrakhan right here. Hold on for a second. Let me share my screen. You can see a young Louis Farrakhan right here, sitting at the feet of Malcolm. All right. Both students of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. All right. Now, I know the trolls are going to come on today, but my thing is, I don't want you talking about Malcolm if you haven't lived that life. I don't want you to lend your white-minded, Eurocentric mind to this particular issue when it's coming to black people and how we have to move, because that's what a lot of y'all attempt to do. You tend to talk about the nation, but you ain't never been in the nation. That's like you talking Crip gang blood shit, but you ain't never been in either organization. So let's be mindful of your language, because I don't mind blocking you. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to continue the conversation. It's probably going to go a lot longer than the time I wanted to be on today. I'm waiting for a couple of phone calls from a few people. By any means necessary weekend workshop, May 28th through the 30th, 2514 Washington Avenue in New Orleans. All right, it's called By Any Means Necessary. All right, myself and brother Lumumba. Lumumba is teaching the AR-15 class at 10:30 to 12 noon. Stay ready. New Orleans, there's a rifle and safety. No live ammo. From 1 to 2:30, emergency preparedness. And then May 30th, we're going to the gun range. All right, Professor Grip is teaching the class earlier than that on handgun. All right. All right, so you could definitely hit me up, 678-557-2919 to get that information on how to sign up. All right. Hold on for a second. Let me put this. Got it. All right. All right. What is the true origins of the black man? Well, we're not going that deep. We talk about Malcolm X right now. All right. We're talking about what Malcolm had given us. Today is his born day, and we want to celebrate it. All right. We want to have a joyous occasion. We're not going to get into this Scientology stuff with the nation. We're not going to get into all the other negative things that a lot of you Negroes want to put on the table. And scared to debate Muslims. You want to come on programs like this and run your mouth, but when you were asked to come to the table, you never showed up. All right, so let's get back to this. Let's get back to Malcolm.
We are here to tell you to love the white man. You have come to the wrong place. And those of you who think that you perhaps came here to hear us tell you to turn the other cheek to the brutality of the white man, I say again, you came to the wrong place. But no matter what happens, we don't teach you to turn the other cheek. We don't teach you to turn the other cheek in the South, and we don't teach you to turn the other cheek in the North. We teach you to obey the law. We teach you to carry yourselves in a respectable way. But at the same time, we teach you that anyone who puts his hand on you, do your best to see that he doesn't put it on anybody else.
Malcolm had street knowledge. A lot of us wish that we had that. Malcolm had street knowledge. Malcolm was a Muslim. You understand what I'm saying? How many of us are Muslims? How many of us got that street knowledge that Malcolm had? How many of us, though? And I think a lot of us, well, hold on. I think a lot of us wish we had that, had that in us. And a lot of us just don't. It's nothing wrong with you striving for that. But there's just a lot of things that coming through the ranks of the Nation of Islam, there's a lot of things you just don't do. And a lot of things that you just don't say. All right? Like a lot of times with street organizations, there's just a lot of things you don't do and a lot of things you just don't say. All right? So we probably gonna have to do a part 2 to this. Maybe if we get some time a little bit later on tonight, we can dive deeper into Tamara said, come on, you should be able to hear me loud and clear, man. All right. All right. So I think a lot of us bring certain things to the table that if you only had the training that Malcolm had. All right. I think we could begin to produce Malcolms. I think the teachings are still there where we could produce the next Malcolm X. All right. But there was something about Malcolm that the creator gave Malcolm and only Malcolm. All right. So hopefully we'll be able to have this part 2 to this conversation a little bit later on. I want to play this other piece from I'm going to continue this documentary film on Malcolm a little bit later on, but I wanted to play Make It Plain. Have you all saw Make It Plain, Malcolm X? Make It Plain? Wow, that was 2 hours. That documentary film is 2 hours long. Make it plain. Woo-wee. No, y'all ain't got time for that. Dang, y'all killing me.
And the assassination of Malcolm X. Thanks so much for joining us.
This weekend marked 56 years since the assassination of Malcolm X.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, this Malcolm Make It Plain is a serious documentary film. And I went over it a few times, and it's like, wow. Malcolm was a special individual. But it showed and demonstrated to us that we can come from the muck and mire of this wicked civilization into gods and goddesses. The teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad did that. All right. All right. So hopefully, inshallah, I will see you guys a little bit later on where we can dive further into celebrating the life of our good brother, Malcolm X. I need everyone, if you within the sound of my voice, if you can text me what you would like to go over and talk about a little bit later on, then we'll make it happen. When we're talking about the life of Malcolm, though, 678-557-2919. 678-557-2919. All right, Quan, don't get too much sunshine. All right, family, we'll talk a little bit later on. Peace.